Okay, I'm so excited to have you on.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to be here, Kenzie. Thanks for having me.
I feel like we've had a great 10 minutes together.
I know. We should have been recording that the whole time.
Know.
Yeah,
well,
I agree.
know. Maybe not some of the conversations, but you know.
Well, we relate. I have
Yes.
daughters that are around your age, so it's fun. It's fun to chat with you.
Yes. Okay, I have so many questions for you. I want to start talking about gut health and your journey with gut health.
Physically, I haven't had any journey with gut health. I always had what I always assumed was a healthy gut. But the reason we got into gut health is because my husband and I were in the pharmaceutical industry. And we thought this was great. We're in this really cool industry where we're helping people be healthy and delivering life-saving medications. And after being in that industry for a while, we started to notice the abuses in the industry. We started noticing the overprescribing of drugs and where people really weren't getting better. We had an aunt that was on one pharmaceutical and within a month, she was on a half a dozen different pharmaceuticals and never getting better. And then, one drug caused a skin rash. The other one, then they had a pharmaceutical for the skin rash. And then all of a sudden she had stomach issues. And then she had another pharmaceutical for that. And so we were and then we saw it in the industry too. And so we were really naturally minded anyway. My husband and I really tried to be more natural anyway as we raised our kids. And so we decided to go into something that was more in line with how we lived our lives. And so through a lot of prayer, a lot of meditation, and being at the right place at the right time, we were able to license these very exclusive strains to these particular probiotic strains out of London University. And that's kind of how we got on this gut journey. And it's been so fun.
How is it working with your husband?
Oh, I love it.
See, that's refreshing to hear, actually.
Yeah, I know. I do. I love it. It's just, I'm not saying every day is wonderful, but it's worked out really well. We have very different roles in the company. I'm the CEO and he is more behind the scenes. And, but it's fun because it's a journey. That song, The Climb,
Mm-hmm.
It is so much about the climb. It's just, we had a lot of fun.
Classic, an American classic.
It is an American classic. And we've had a lot of fun together. It's not always perfect, but we just, I married my soulmate and we've been really lucky.
I love it. How long have you guys been together?
This year was 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, you're giving me hope.
Oh yeah. Always stay hopeful. It's you just find that right person and it's great. And not everyone loves to work together, but it worked for us.
Oh, I'm obsessed. Okay, so I need you to just explain a probiotic and why you need to be taking a probiotic, but for dummies, aka me.
Okay, perfect. Well, you know what? Maybe we'll even start lower than that, just gut health.
Yes.
What is gut health and what does it affect and why is it being attacked on a daily basis? So basically, gut health is our gut is dictating, meaning our intestinal tract, and it's dictating virtually all aspects of our overall health. For many years, people thought, oh, I have gas or bloating or diarrhea, constipation, and I have some gut issues going on. And yes, that definitely is an indication that you have gut issues going on. But what people don't understand is, I have acne, or I have a skin rash, I have eczema, I have psoriasis. Those are all indications that you have some serious gut dysbiosis going on or gut imbalance going on. And then when you're talking about or gas and bloating. I laugh because people are like, they worry about bloating just because of vanity purposes. Well, really, when you have bloating, that's telling you I've got a problem and I've got a serious problem with my gut. Then, we talk about mood health. Our mood is directly impacted by the health of our gut. So anxiety, depression, even ADHD and, Alzheimer's, dementia, all of these types of conditions are all rooted in an imbalance in our gut. And this is all being studied profoundly. This is why the microbiome is all over, the news and all over medical journals, because we know now that our gut bacteria is actually dictating our overall health. Almost 90% of non-communicable diseases are attributed to an imbalance in our gut health. And here's what's the bad news. The bad news is that our gut is being attacked on a daily basis just in the world we live in. We have antibiotics that we take, antibiotics in our food. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've had customers call that are like, as a kid, I was on antibiotics because I had acne and they were on it for years and years. And now they have, SIBO or they have, IBS or Crohn's disease. They have these horrible conditions because they have been on antibiotics. And it wasn't an ill-intended doctor. It's just that they didn't know that then, the detrimental effect these antibiotics had on us. Antibiotics save lives, and I know sometimes people have to take them, but I would definitely be cautious of when you need to take them. But antibiotics are found in our food supply. Our animal products have antibiotics. Glyphosate, which is the active ingredient in Roundup. Roundup is sprayed all over our produce. That's really detrimental to our gut health. So the foods that we're eating are so disruptive to our gut health. Processed foods, even our household cleaning products and our, personal care products, shampoos and conditioner, all these things are really detrimental to our gut health. And yet our gut health is dictating all aspects of our overall health. And this is why we're seeing this rise in stress and anxiety and even autism and ADHD, all these things, because our gut is really disrupted.
It just feels like we're set up to fail.
Yeah.
All of it. That's not really scary.
Yeah. And I know, and I hate painting a bad picture.
And it's important. You have to be honest. You have to tell the people.
Yes, I have to tell the people. Right. I'm like a preacher here, trying to just get the message out. But
evangelizing.
Yes. And I really feel so passionate about it. And what's so exciting about the younger generation, I see this with my own kids, is they are starting to really care about their health. When I was in my 20s, I could have 30s, I was like, oh, whatever, I did whatever. But now I see kids because they're seeing their friends that are getting sick. And one of the studies we actually did was a double-blind human clinical trial. And this is kind of what sets us apart from most probiotics or most supplements really on the market, is our commitment to doing research and doing studies. But one of the studies we did was on college students. They took 100, University of North Texas did this study, 100 college students. They divided them in half and checked to see which of them had a leaky gut. And a leaky gut is basically what it sounds like. It's when toxins in your gut, there's holes in your gut lining, and these toxins seep into your bloodstream. And they found out that 55% of those college students had a leaky gut and didn't know it. These were healthy college students. They weren't on any medication, nothing like that, but they had this leaky gut. Well, when you have a leaky gut, it's like a drippy faucet. All of a sudden, one day it just overflows, and then you have an autoimmune issue, you have depression, anxiety, you have, acne, whatever it might be, or gas and bloating, diarrhea, IBS, all these things. And all of a sudden people are like, it just kind of happened. And it's like, well, no, it's been happening. So we have to remember where you start with health is your gut. I cannot overstate that enough. I mean, it is where we start. People are taking, multivitamins, vitamin D, vitamin C. Those are all really important things to be taking, but none of those nutrients will be absorbed if your gut is inflamed. You need to take care of your gut so that it's not inflamed and it could absorb nutrients. So it's just, I've talked to so many doctors who are like, the number one supplement, if I could take, is a probiotic, because and one that works, because that is really what is moving the needle in your health.
Okay, so I know that taking a probiotic is really important, but I think there's a huge emphasis on what works versus there's a lot that are out there on the market that don't work. So why do some of them work and why do some of them not work?
Yeah, that is an awesome question. And I think, oh my God, I want to scream from the rooftops about this. So the biggest difference is survivability. A probiotic needs to be a live microorganism that confers a benefit onto the host, which is the body. So this live microorganism needs to be alive in the intestines. The overwhelming majority of probiotics you find out there are in the refrigerated section. And, and they're like, oh, I have a good probiotic because it's in the refrigerated section. That's actually one of the biggest myths out there, because if you think about it, if a probiotic needs to be alive, it needs to be refrigerated in order to stay alive. And it can't stay alive on the store shelf. If it were on the store shelf, it would die. What in the world will happen when it goes into your body, which is 98.6, much hotter than the store shelf? It's going to die. So the overwhelming majority of probiotics are actually dying by the time they get to the intestines, where the strains that are used in our product, Just Thrive, actually are dormant. They don't become alive until they hit the intestines. Once they get to the intestines, they take their shell off, and that's when they go into their live vegetative cell state. And the important thing to remember is this is not because we've engineered it or we've, done some scientific thing to it. These are actually strains that our ancestors used to get on a daily basis. We would just they would eat off the land, they would eat roots and tubers off the land, and they would get these soil organisms and they would eat off the land. And this is why we see such profound results with the product, because this is the way nature intended us to be taking care of our probiotic. So taking care of our gut. The biggest thing we need to focus on in a probiotic is that, does the probiotic have research showing that it survives? Then on top of that, what kind of difference does it make in the gut? The majority of probiotics on the market that you find in the store or online they just pass through, similar to like food. You eat food, it passes through your intestines, it leaves the body through defecation. Ours actually stay there for about 21 to 28 days, and they're actually making a true change in the gut. One of the second or third study we did was a gut model study. It showed that it caused a 30% favorable shift in the gut. So, and again, this is why we're seeing these crazy results, even sometimes so quickly, and then other results, that happen later on. So it's really important that you find a probiotic that's researched. We work with spore-based probiotics, which are the creme de la creme of probiotic strains. And we were disruptors when we came to the market with them. And, it's just exploded because it works, and we've just seen how people have had life-changing results with the product.
I'm just thinking about like if I were to go grab one, I would definitely go a couple years ago. I would have gone to the refrigerator section, and I would have picked up a probiotic and been taking it for a year, and nothing would have happened.
Yeah, right. And I mean, I will say, even the refrigerated ones, like even dead bacteria will do something in your gut.
Better than nothing.
It could be arguably better than nothing because it might help with some symptomatic relief, but it's not making a true change in the gut. And like, wouldn't you rather like spend money on something that's going to actually make a difference, and that's what's so awesome.
People are robbing us.
Yeah.
We're being robbed.
And I don't think they were ill-intended at all.
No, I'm sure they mean well.
I know.
I'm sure.
I know. I think they just were like, it's the old science. The Human Microbiome Project came out about 12 years ago, told us more about the gut than we ever knew before. And now we know what we need in a probiotic. It needs to be a live microorganism that's actually making a change in the gut. And so now our product is based on the new research that's out there. And that's what's exciting about it and why we're seeing such fun results with the product. But yeah, there is good news. If you do certain things, you can heal your gut.
What about cleaning products?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So actually there was a study that showed that households that use cleaning products that they'll say on there kills 99.99% of the bacteria, actually have kids with a higher incidence of allergies and autoimmune issues because you're killing your microbes. I mean, even hand sanitizers, well before COVID, I would always tell people, don't ever use a hand sanitizer because it's like it says antibacterial, like bacteria is good. Less than 1% of bacteria is dangerous and harmful. The overwhelming majority of bacteria is actually incredibly beneficial. Like not only is it good, it's like critical to our overall health. So we don't want to be killing microbes all the time. We want to be, just embrace our bacteria that we're exposed to.
Bacteria needs a new PR person.
I say that all the time. Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
What do you do? Like, what was the first thing you started to do in your household though?
Well, I just stopped using a lot of those, really what you
just found all alternatives.
Well, or just like essential oils and like a spray with water and a spray bottle. A lot of times that's all you need. I mean,
what essential oils do you use?
Oh, I'll use like lavender, peppermint, whatever ones I find, I mean, I'm pretty easy about that. Just something natural. And then there's some cleaning products that, God, the name is escaping me right now, but a lot of times I just use like water and some essential oils and I don't worry too much about it, and I'm trying to use skincare that's more natural and even shampoo and conditioner. I always tell everyone baby steps, that's all you could do, baby steps, but these baby steps start to add up and make these profound changes in your life.
Yeah. And your first step can be just that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's where you start, it really is where you've got to focus on your gut health. And we've seen so many incredible things happen to people. And, you see people that have had bloating their whole lives or people who have had, dealt with diarrhea or constipation or even skin issues. And all of, they call us, they're like, I've tried everything before. I've tried all these over the counter, all these pharmaceuticals. And like, this is the only thing that's helped me. And it's just really gratifying,
It is really scary though. I think about this all the time. Like when I'm sitting around with my girlfriends and everyone is complaining about their health issues. And I'm like, we're in our mid to early 20s right now. And the fact that we are so unwell or like my brain fog is so bad, especially in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Very bad. And for me, it's like fatigue. I feel like for most girls, a lot bloating is a huge one.
Yeah.
And it's just become the norm. Like that's so scary.
It is really scary. And that's how I feel like this is an epidemic with even our kids, as a mom of 3, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sad that all these, the peanut-free tables, when I was a kid, which was, eons ago, I knew one classmate that had a peanut allergy from kindergarten all through the end of high school. And I went to a huge high school. I mean, one child, now we have peanut-free tables. Like, why is this happening? And it is because our gut is so disruptive. I mean, we know now our gut is dictating if you're having allergic responses or you have allergies to certain foods. And I feel like it's important that we eat lots of different foods. We're living in this world where it's like, you're paleo, you're vegan, you're carnivore, whatever. I'm of the opinion that we should eat lots of different types of foods because that's really beneficial to our gut health. It helps create diversity. You want diversity in your gut. But the problem is people just can't tolerate them anymore. And so my goal with people is start healing your gut, start taking the spore-based probiotics that Just Thrive produces, start doing meditation. Even meditation could help with your gut health or whatever makes you calm. And then slowly start introducing some of these foods. And that's the goal. It's not, people will say, I just get so bloated when I eat broccoli. Like, we're not supposed to get bloated when we eat broccoli. That means there's something going on. And I don't want to scare everyone, but it's like I said, it's that drippy faucet. And you just want to make sure that you're ahead of it.
I want to go into all the mental health stuff. But before we do that, when they say like a leaky gut, and all of those kids had no idea, the college kids had no idea, like, how are we even supposed to know if we have a gut issue if all of them claim to be healthy?
Yeah.
Or to feel healthy?
Yeah, that's a great question. And there is no like test that you could go to in a non-research setting to find that. You can't really go to like Quest or LabCorp and be like, do you have a leaky gut study? No, they don't have that. But they estimate 90% of the adult population has a leaky gut and doesn't even know it.
That is so encouraging.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That.
I know, I'm sorry. It's like, it's
just assume that you have it.
I mean, yeah, and especially, as you get older, you're probably more likely to have it. You want to make sure you're having regular bowel movements. I mean, you could notice certain things, like I always had regular bowel movements and then I started taking the product. And I was like, oh, now I know what it's like to have a regular bowel movement. It's like easy. It's often, it's the way it's supposed to be. And it's like, and so you kind of want to assume that you're having, if you don't have a leaky gut yet, your gut lining is thinning out and there's holes that may be starting in there. So you want to make sure you're addressing the leaky gut because like you said, look at those 55% of them had a leaky gut and didn't know it.
It's wild.
Also,
it's college age.
Yeah. College, young, healthy, no medications, nothing like that. And then we sent them home with the product, or the university sent them home with the product and with the placebo. And here's what's scary. The treated group, so the one that got the spore-based probiotics that are used in our product actually saw a 42% decrease in LPS toxins going into their bloodstream. So they saw a 42% decrease. That's just after 30 days of being on it. And there were no dietary or lifestyle modifications. We all know what college students do to their bodies. But here's the scary part. The placebo group, so the group that did not get our strains, saw a 32% increase in these toxins that are seeping into the bloodstream. And what that tells us is that now that's that drippy faucet I'm talking about. It's like every time you eat, you're getting that your body is eliciting this inflammatory response. Your immune system recognizes these toxins going into your bloodstream and causing this inflammatory response by your bloodstream or by, your immune system. And it's not good. I mean, that's the cause of chronic inflammation. Which is the cause of all diseases out there. So it's unfortunately a little bit of a scary world out there.
Are there specific foods that are worse for gut health?
Well, processed foods for sure. We just definitely want to stay away. I mean, I'm always just a fan of like eating organic because you want to stay away from those glyphosates, which is the active ingredient in Roundup. So I'd like to, eat organic. You want to stay away from processed foods. Gut supporting foods are things like sauerkraut, kimchi, yogurts that aren't loaded with sugar. But those are not a replacement for a probiotic because those are going to die just like the other probiotics die. They have other gut nourishing nutrients, very dense, but they're not going to create this whole, they're not going to make a change in the gut like we talked about, like where the spores go in there, will go in there and like make a true change in the gut bacteria. Because you want your gut, you have good bacteria and you have bad bacteria. And we're not trying to get rid of all the bad bacteria. It's an ecosystem. We just want to live live nicely with each other. And so we just want the good bacteria to outweigh the bad bacteria. And that's what the spores do that are found in Just Thrive. They go in there and they actually help get rid of that overgrowth of the pathogenic bacteria. And then they have the ability to take that good bacteria and come back to life, almost like kind of like flourish in your gut. So it's you know what, the best way to describe it is like a garden. So if you envision a garden that's been stepped on and trampled on and there's weeds growing all over that garden, the spores go into that garden, you throw it in there, they get there, they attach to the soil, they get rid of those weeds in the garden, and then they help those plants, those good plants, come back to life. Where the other kind of probiotics on the market, most of them won't even get into that garden, but let's just say they do get into the garden, they're just going to like maybe make a few plants prettier, but they're not doing anything with those weeds in the garden, and then they just kind of leave and they're gone. So it's a very, it's just a weaker approach than dealing with the spores.
I want to talk about mental health and the link from gut health to mental health. Background on me and my family. I think every one of us has a mental health issue. Like, I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I was with my cousin last night and we were talking. She's like, it's just so funny when someone like, not funny because everyone's like feelings are valid, but like when someone comes to us and is like very secretive about it and stuff, because our family is so like, it's just the normal thing for us. Like, I'm like, we have anxiety, depression, like just it really runs in the family. Okay. I had never, and I've been in therapy. I've been taking care of it. I've been medicated off and on since I was like young for like actual mental health, not just like saying I feel anxious, like legitimate. But I had never heard of the gut health connection to mental health until maybe 4 years ago, which is crazy because I've always been so into it. I've always like been reading books about it too, like listening to podcasts. And I feel like it's relatively like new to be talking about. So I want to hear pretty much everything you know about this connection.
Okay. Well, it's funny because like the reason you haven't heard about it is because that human microbiome project that was launched by the National Institutes of Health, this is an ongoing project that is telling us so much about all of the connection between our gut and everywhere, all the systems in our body. So there is a huge connection. So just so we know, in our gut, there are neurotransmitters being produced. So serotonin is happy hormone. 90% of our serotonin is produced in our gut, not in our brain, but in our gut. This is like news to so many people. GABA, our calming hormone, is produced in our gut.
See, that's the one that I need.
Yeah. And it's like, we know dopamine is produced in our gut. So all these really important neurotransmitters are actually being produced in our gut. And yet no one's talking about that. Like, I feel like psychiatrists have had their hands tied for so many years because all they've had to prescribe are like SSRIs and, the anti-anxiety meds, but they're not focusing on the root cause, which is our gut. We need to be focusing on our gut. That is really where it stems from, because that leakiness of the gut that we talked about, when you have a leaky gut, that inflammation could go to your heart, it could go to your brain, it could go to, any organ, your liver, it could go wherever. But we're finding that so much of the inflammation is going to the brain, and it's causing this neuroinflammation that's going on that's affecting so many people. And then when we're not producing those neurotransmitters, we have, lots of problems. And there's a huge connection between the gut and the brain. So where there's something called the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve is the largest nerve in the body, and it connects from your brainstem down to your intestines. And the gut and the brain are constantly sending signals back and forth to each other. And we've known this for a long time when you think about it, because what happens when we're excited? We get butterflies in our stomach. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's not like, people don't make that up. That's really your brain sending signals down to your gut. Or if you're like really stressed or nervous about something, a lot of times people have to go to the bathroom. That's your brain sending signals down to your gut. So this is a communication going on all the time. And it's so critical that we keep that communication going, because it's really like that study that I talked about, it showed that it lowered ghrelin levels. So we know that like when your gut is healthy, you feel you don't feel hungry as easily as before, because your gut is telling your brain, I'm fed. But if you don't have a healthy gut that's sending those signals back, it's not sending that message, and you're like always hungry. So it's really important that when you are talking about your mental health, that you are focusing on your gut health. I mean, I always will say, stay away from antibiotics, stay away from glyphosate, the active ingredient in Roundup, but meditate, pray, whatever it is that calms you down. Go for a walk in nature. That's really important. Whatever calms you down will help your gut health. And the reverse is true too. The more you help your gut, you're going to be calm too. So I can't say that enough, that we have to be focusing our gut health when we're talking about our mental health. And we see it all the time. A lot of times people will come to our product because they'll say, oh my God, I had gas or bloating. I mean, that's probably where the majority of people have some gastrointestinal issues. And they're like, a month or so later, they're like, I lost a few pounds. And I'm like, well, yeah, like when your gut is healthy, it's getting rid of toxins, you're going to the bathroom regularly, you're going to lose a little bit of weight. Or I'm in a better mood, or I'm sleeping better. And we see that all the time. Like, we're in the pharmaceutical world. It's like side effects include suicidal thoughts, like death, all these horrible things.
So true.
Where in ours, it's like side effects are like better mood, better weight management, and, just being happier and more joyful. And one of my friends was like, you saved my marriage, because it's like, she's like, I had no energy. Now I have energy. So there's a huge connection there. And so one of our, we deal with, there's the neurotransmitters that are being produced in the gut, and the probiotic, the Just Thrive probiotic that we were talking about, is really important for that. But then we also have things that we have external stressors that we deal with. We are constantly in this fight or flight state. And the fight or flight state was meant to protect us. And I think that's so hard for people to remember, to realize. But like, the fight or flight state is really a great mechanism that we have in our bodies. It's just that we're not, it was there because our ancestors were being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. Yeah. We're not, but now we're like, we get a tweet and we freak out.
Chill out. You're like walking Sunset Boulevard. Yeah, you're good.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, everything's fine. But we're always in that fight or flight response. And so we recently launched a product called Just Calm. And that product is really, really unique. It's got a probiotic strain called Bifidolongum 1714. And this strain has been extensively studied by APC University in Cork, Ireland. And that actually showed us that it helps bring the cortisol levels down. It's actually helping us. It's a probiotic strain that's actually helping bring cortisol down. I mean, it's crazy. It also helps us like have a better perception of stress. So, when we're like in a good place and you hear something that's kind of like bad and you're like, oh, I can handle that. And then when you're like really stressed out and you hear something that's not that big of a deal and you make such a big deal about it, it's like, that's what this strain is doing, is helping you, like, the perception of stress be more healthy. And then we also know it changes your brainwave activity. So it's actually putting you more in that theta. That theta is that like flow state that we want to be in. So it's a really, really exciting strain. And we are beyond excited to launch it. In fact, when we launched, it sold out immediately. And I mean, we're almost sold out. I mean, it's funny. We're ordering so much more, but I'm not kind of sad about that, because it just shows you the world we're living in. I mean, people are stressed. And I mean, my biggest thing is you don't have to take our products, change your lifestyle. Like, we have got to get rid of stress, because it's so bad for our overall health. I mean, it's like the equivalent of, smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. I mean, and it's an epidemic right now.
I feel like Lauren every time I talk about like cortisol levels, but I just want to live a calm life. Like, and that's not me naturally. Like, me naturally, especially my childhood was I grew up in a very like tumultuous household. Okay. So I was very fight or flight. Like, fight or flight was honestly like kind of comfortable for me, because that's what I knew. Mm-hmm. And then as I've gotten older, like, my ideal life is like, I want to live on a ranch in the middle of nowhere. I want horses. I want cows. Like, I will live there. Like, Pamela Anderson's Instagram right now, she lives on an island in Canada. And you just see her with like doing laundry outside. She's like with her dogs on land. Like, that's actually where I need to be. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to find like, the middle ground currently. And I have made a lot of lifestyle changes. And I also moved, so that did help. And I like live in a more calm area. But even just like walking outside and doing things where I'm like really focusing on not being stressed. And a lot of it, I would say most of my stress is like self-induced. Just like the small lifestyle changes it's crazy. It's like that stuff actually works.
It does. Yeah, amazing. Yeah. Like, more than any pill's going to work. It's like, we've got to really focus on changing our lifestyle. I know when we started this business, it was my husband and I, it was just the two of us. And I mean, I have 3 kids, and they were all in sports and they played college sport. I mean, we never missed anything. I was like, I'm not going to compromise my family. I'm not going to compromise my kids or my marriage, which are all awesome. But I was like building this business, and what did I do? I compromised myself in the process. I mean, I was fight or flight all the time. And I'm like, I know I need to, I just changed, I changed a lot of what I did.
What were some of the changes you made?
Well, hiring a team, that was the thing.
That's helpful.
Yeah, that kind of helps. I mean, I'm a little bit of a control. I was like, nobody could ever answer the questions. Our product is so researched, and I wanted to be able to like answer questions for customers. And what you will find as an entrepreneur, because I imagine some of your listeners are budding entrepreneurs, is that the best way to grow your business is to hire people because and you always hire people. Like our customer service team does such a better job than I ever did answering calls. I mean, they are rock stars. I mean, we have a health coach on the team that like, she's a product coach for our company. And so she will, talk people through all the products. And so, so I basically hired a team but it was slow and we did that. And then, but all of a sudden it just started growing and our team grew and it's been fun. And I just started, I read a lot of books that just remind, I think it's a daily practice. It's like brushing your teeth.
What are some of your book racks?
Oh my God. I'm a Norman Vincent Peale, and Wayne Dyer is actually my hero. I love, so Wayne Dyer's book, I Can See Clearly Now is like kind of a autobiography of his life. And it's so easy to read. It's like chapter by chapter, just about how he could see so much clearer now, that now that his life, he unfortunately passed away, but just a great teacher of just trying to, focus. And I also read or I follow the Daily Stoic all the time because I just think that's a really good reminder on a daily basis. So I try to flood my Instagram with those types of, that type of content too.
What are some of your just daily habits that are your non-negotiables that have to do with gut health?
Oh, that have to do with gut health. Well, meditation. I wake up and I meditate every day.
Okay, I have some questions about this because listen, I know that meditation will be so good for me. And I've said this on the podcast for so long. And especially because I'm saying that it would be good for me. It would obviously, I really need to be doing it. But it's really difficult. Like, how long do you do it?
Okay, I do it for 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And I don't always do it for 20 minutes,
Okay.
but I, like you, had that same problem. I'm like, there is no way I could do this. So I started doing deep breathing exercises. I just would like do different types of deep breathing. And
you're just Googling these, or where did you find them?
I actually use something called a heart math machine. It's like a heart math thing. You put it on your finger and it just like is a guided breathing thing. I've done that before because I was having trouble with meditation too. But I just think like there's just something about sitting in silence. I repeat a word silently in my mind and it just puts you more in that theta wave. But it's not an easy thing, but just even if you just give yourself that 20 minutes where you're just doing nothing. And I'm a huge outside walker. I walk every day outside. I mean, I'm from Chicago. The only times I don't walk outside is if it's like, it's always cold in Chicago, but if it's like dangerously cold or icy, but otherwise I love being in nature, even though I'm in a suburban community, but it's like I try to be in nature as much as possible. I love that.
Question about the Just Calm. Do you take that when you're feeling stressed or do you take that daily?
Take it daily. Because the study that was done on this is that they studied these people, these subjects who were just lived very calm lives. We all have those friends that are just super calm. So they found these people in Ireland and they found that they had higher levels of this bifidolongum 1714 strain. And so it would just be a regular daily practice that you would take it.
Okay. And do you take that when you take your probiotic?
Yeah, you could take it at this. I mean, I would probably recommend maybe taking the probiotic like with a meal and then the Just Calm, maybe take it later in the afternoon. That's when cortisol levels are usually higher. So, I mean, you don't want to, your cortisol levels are high in the morning, but they should be high in the morning because you're awake and you want to do, if they're super, super high, maybe you want to take it in the morning. Otherwise, maybe later in the afternoon. And then it's closer to like bedtime to get you calm. And it should help with like sleep and that as well. So, and just a better quality sleep. Like it's fun when people have an Aura ring and they're taking this and they're like, oh my God, now I see, like, this is awesome. So I would definitely, but the probiotic, it's best, you just take one capsule with food. It's super easy to take it with food and at the end of a meal. So it's super easy. It's like the easiest thing to do that can have such a profound effect on so many aspects of your life. You just see, and I always tell people like, they're like, oh, how long do you have to take it? I mean, sometimes people find results within a day. Sometimes they see it within a month. But I always say stay on it for 3 months, 90 days, because that's when you start seeing all these other benefits, like the more energy, like the better weight management, all these other side effects that we talked about. And it's really fun to start seeing those types of, effects. And for the Just Calm, I would say you just take that, like later afternoon, and you could take it with or without food. It doesn't matter. But with the probiotic, it's best to take it with food. It works better with food.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I love my Aura ring. So I don't even care about the like actual fitness aspect of it. I love working out, but like I weightlift. It's not really tracking anything.
Yeah.
I am so excited to track my sleep.
Yeah.
Sleep is not really, it's not the best for me.
Okay. Well, this is a good, you're going to get your gut in line where your dopamine and your neurotransmitters are, powered out, doing a great job, working really well. And then you're going to be able to deal with external stressors better. And it's just going to be but you just got to be patient.
It's going to be good for everyone else in my life too.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm being really selfless here.
Yeah, you are. You're being selfless.
I'm looking out for all of them.
Yes, you are. I love it. And then they're going to see how great you're doing. And then they're going to be like, this is,
they're going to copy me.
Yes, they're going to copy you. Exactly.
I like that. Okay, my last question for you. On the podcast, people love to hear about navigating their 20s and they love to get advice, from people who just looking back on your life. What piece of advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
Oh my gosh, I could go. I mean, it's so funny because, I have 3 20-year-old kids. So, I mean, that's all I'm ever doing is giving them advice. And I keep telling them, and I'll tell you and other 20-year-olds, just this is the time you invest in yourself. You learn, like if you don't know how to do Excel, take an Excel class. If you don't, whatever, learn whatever. If you want to buy some supply, get products from China, figure out how to, work with a supplier out of China, read and fill your brain with content and take chances right now. I was always so safe. I'm an attorney. I was in litigation. I was just following that route and that path that I was supposed to follow. And I think now the gift for 20-year-olds now is that it's so much more acceptable to go be the entrepreneur or do something that's different. Don't do that 9-to-5 job. And this is the time you take chances. I tell my kids, what are you going to do first out of college? But then, or don't go to college. I mean, I've been telling my son not to go to college. I'm like, he wants to be an entrepreneur. I'm like, why are you going to college? But he wants to go. He plays basketball there, so that's fine. But I just would say learn and invest in yourself. That's really take this time to just invest in yourself.
I think on top of it being more acceptable, it's also more accessible in certain ways because we have access to people because of the internet that we would never have access to. And I don't even mean a one-on-one coffee date. I just think it's cool that if I want to go, I can listen to Ed Milet every single day. There's a lot of different people that we can get knowledge and wisdom from. Whereas 20 years ago, it was obviously way less.
Exactly. It's so funny you said that. I just sent my kids this morning an Ed Milet podcast. I'm listen to that.
He reminds me so much of my dad. They're so similar. My dad actually was in pharmaceuticals as well for 30 years. But they're so similar. And my dad sends, the parents, do you send your kids Instagram reels?
All the time.
See, yes, this is a parent thing. My dad sends me Instagram reels 15 times a day. And I think probably half of them are Ed Milet.
Yeah.
We love him.
I know. So do we.
One time he sent me a voice note on Instagram. And I was like, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened to me.
I know. That is a pretty cool thing. I mean, he's awesome. Great energy. And I love him.
He really is the best. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on. I know we have a code that I probably already said at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah. So it's the website is justthrivehealth.com. And we have a code that's I love you. And that would get you 20% off for a 90-day supply of either the probiotic or the Just Calm or both. So, we have lots of different products. I think those are the 2 that you would start with. If you could just do the probiotic if you don't feel like you have any issues with stress. Which
good for you guys.
Bottle whatever you have and sell it,
I'm please DM me.
Yeah, exactly. But then just use the code I love you. So justthrivehealth.com, I love you, and you get 20% off.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me. It was so much fun.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know by giving it a nice thumbs up and subscribe for more.